Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Guys, another Honkai Impact playlist. I got some new ones from my last video that I put out, so check it out on the channel. Maybe I'll link it at the end of this video. So I said at the end of the other video, or maybe in the beginning, that I had another playlist. Now I have two more. I'll check it out. There might be the same videos that are in that playlist, so some of them I will skip it, but this one is totally different. So apparently these ones are supposed to explain a bit of the lore and history of Honkai Impact. Also, I did read everyone's comment from the last video, so just know I read your comments. So I heard about the Wayne Hoshers and all the things you guys explained, and what each and every one kind of think is a Honkai in itself. So I can't explain all of it now because that's not the purpose of this video, but I just want to let those who are watching me that I read your comments anyway. So let's get into this. Everything is set up. Okay. Alright guys, let's get into it now. Let's go. Okay.
Captain on bridge.
Greetings, Captains. Welcome to the Honkai Operations Center.
Okay.
Have you wondered where the Valkyries came from? What are they fighting for? And what exactly does Honkai mean? We will be diving into the history and worldview of Honkai Impact throughout this series. Today is a basic introduction to the prequel of the entire story. Throughout history, the struggle between mankind and nature has never ceased. The Honkaiverse is based on a parallel universe that reiterates this conflict, humanity's struggle against the Honkai. But what is the Honkai? We don't know exactly where it's from, but it's a force of chaos that existed from the beginning of time. It wants to destroy human civilization, and when human technology advances, it grows stronger. Honkai have tried to destroy us through creating supernatural disasters, monsters, and plagues, and giving birth to Hershers, godlike beings who can bend physical laws. In the Honkaiverse, humanity has already established a high-tech global civilization 50,000 years ago. Modern humans refer to this civilization as the previous era. Unfortunately, those high-tech humans in the previous era lost the war and were defeated by the Honkai. The previous era was destroyed, but some humans survived to rebuild human civilization. This brings us to the current era. Of course, Honkai wants to destroy humanity, so they didn't leave us in peace, even in the current era. 2717 BC was the date of the earliest record of the Honkai beast attacks. Fortunately, gifted human warrior.
Okay, so I'm kind of getting the same things you guys texted in the comment, but it's kind of interesting with the things that they're saying. So there was already a super advanced technological civilization. They bombed it. So the Honkai are just like trying to start the war back from zero every time. I mean, that means that you have to live in the Stone Ages for nothing to happen, basically. Yeah, basically the Stone Age, because the more you go from stone to metal, copper, and all the like, the more they get stronger, the more they attack. Okay.
Such as Ji Xuanyan helped us defeat these early Honkai monsters. But Ji Xuanyan disappeared into the seas after an expedition to defeat the giant Honkai beast Triol. To defend humanity against the Honkai, a religious organization known as the Shiksal rose after the fall of the Roman Empire.
Okay.
Shiksal was led by an overseer, usually a member of the Apocalypse family, who established Shiksal. It helped create the feudal order by helping various European princes gain power. They also developed crude Honkai-powered weapons and initiated the Honkai Crusades. The feudal armies of Europe fought the Honkai, defeating them in many battles and reclaiming lost lands. To increase its power, Shiksal also recruited and trained its own military. The Valkyrie Order is the most famous Shiksal fighting force, and a legendary Valkyrie is Kalan of House Kaslana. The Kaslanas are a family of knights known for their prowess in fighting the Honkai. Kalan's most powerful weapon is the Oath of Judah, an artifact from the previous era that was very effective against the Honkai. However, many things happened in the year 1470. Honkai created an infectious...
The reason why I'm just smiling and laughing is because when I heard Oath of Judah, I'm just thinking the guy who betrayed Jesus Christ. What's that got to do with the Honkaiverse? I guess they're mixing a lot of mythology and stuff like that. So
this virus that caused the Great Plague and killed millions throughout Europe. But Shiksal did not focus on treating the plague. Instead, the leaders wanted to dominate the Eurasian continent and declared war against the Ming Empire of China. The war ended with Shiksal's defeat in 1475. To pay for the losses, Shiksal increased taxes and took money from the poor. These bad decisions only made Shiksal even less popular. When Shiksal tried to recover from its defeat, the Great Plague continued to claim lives. Otto Apocalypse, a younger son of Shiksal's ruling dynasty of House Apocalypse, managed to develop a cure in 1475. Although he was not the heir to the seat of overseer, Otto's discovery increased his popularity. The deaths of his father and brothers allowed him to become the new overseer. Since then, human technology continued to grow. Everyone thought Honkai was...
Isn't it funny that portraying, in fact, like I said, they're portraying a bit of real life stuff and a lot of other real and mythological stuff at the same time. But look at how there's already the issues with the Honkai, right? The church is trying to dominate other people instead of focusing on what is important. Worst of all, it just stems to show what we got taught in history. I've forgotten, but there was this guy who left the Catholic Church because there were too much immoralities that he wrote like 95 or 99 points while he's leaving the church. Whoever that is watching this video, if you know the guy I'm talking about, say it in the comment. I think he's the one who is maybe the founder of the Baptist Church or Presbyterian Church. I think Presbyterian Church, one of them. So if you know, just say it. So let me keep going anyway. And shout out to Odo.
gone. But the first Honkai eruption took place in 1952 and destroyed the entirety of Berlin. The eruption gave birth to the first Herrscher, a powerful godlike being capable of bending physical laws. Shiksal, which has become a rather secretive organization by now, quickly overpowered and captured the Herrscher for research. But Shiksal scientists failed to find out anything. The first Herrscher was then transferred to a Shiksal lab in London for additional inquiry. It was there that the first Herrscher was given the name Welt by the resident scientists Einstein and Tesla. The scientists and leadership of the North American branch were already very displeased with Otto's militaristic leadership. Some even doubted Otto's willingness to eradicate the Honkai. These differences eventually led to the independence of the entire branch, which renamed themselves Anti-Entropy in 1955. Unlike Shiksal, which relied on Valkyries as its elite warriors, Anti-Entropy designed and built Honkai-powered mechs. The second Honkai eruption happened in 2000 and destroyed Siberia and the Russian Far East. It turned out that Shiksal were performing many inhumane experiments on Honkai-resistant children. One of them, Siren, awakened and acquired Herrscher powers and proceeded to take revenge against those who tested on her and her friends. Shiksal mobilized hundreds of Valkyries and depleted its entire arsenal of Honkai fission missiles to defeat this foe. Many Valkyries fell in battle, including Cecilia Shariak, reputedly the best Valkyrie of Shiksal. 14 years later, in 2014, a minor Honkai eruption, referred to as an outbreak, took place in Nagazora. The outbreak wiped out the entire city and transformed many into zombies. The cause was the partial awakening of Mei Ryden, the third Herrscher, due to an implantation of a Herrscher gem. The Nagazora outbreak was contained by Shiksal Far East Branch, led by Teresa Apocalypse. The few survivors of the event, Kiana Kaslana, Mei Ryden, and Bronya Zajcek, were then enrolled in St. Freya High School, a Valkyrie training school built by Teresa Apocalypse after the Second Honkai War. Now we can finally move on to the events in the game itself. Honkai Impact 3rd.
Okay, that makes more sense now. Something happened, and then they were going to school. Okay, so I was a bit right in my predictions in the last one. So, okay. So where does Sele come into the whole thing? Because there's Bronya and all that. So also, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but someone in the comments said that the main girl, I've forgotten her name. I'll probably have to go back a little bit, but she is a clone. Let's keep going.
Starts in the year 2016. You are the captain of the flying battleship Hyperion of Shiksal Far East Branch. You will lead Kiana Kaslana, a brash and hot-headed Valkyrie trainee, and her other friends into battle. We hope this provides a basic understanding of the important events and forces of Honkai Universe. The rest of the history will continue in future episodes, following the life of Kiana, Mei, Bronya, and other Valkyries in the Honkaiverse.
Okay, good one, sir, whoever you are. Good one. The video's good.
A few years after the second eruption in 2000, a girl came into this imperfect world in an experiment pod. She had no name, only a cold serial number, K423. K423 was created by Otto via splicing Kiana Kaslana's genes, and that from Siren, the Hersher of the Void, together. The Hersher core attained consciousness in the new body, and she was expected to become a human with Hersher powers. In 2007, Siegfried Kaslana attempted to abduct K423 in secret, but was intercepted by Schicksal in his escape. His biological daughter went missing afterward. Siegfried adopted K423 and raised her as his own, but was unwilling to name her after his own daughter.
Oh, damn. Okay.
That was until one day, to protect the injured Siegfried, K423 took up arms to confront a Honkai beast in his place. A tender soul defied fate for the first time in order to protect her loved one. Touched by her action, Siegfried decided to name her Kiana Kaslana. He made a promise to her. As the descendants of House Kaslana, it was an honored tradition for them to fight for their loved ones. On this day, the girl received her name from her father, and she set foot on a path deviating from her written fate.
Oh, wow.
However, fate had other plans. In 2010, the latent Hersher persona awoke. Blazes of anger scorched the world that had just opened up to her. To protect Kiana, Siegfried used Judgment of Shamash to suppress the Hersher of the Void. But as a result, he was severely injured. Siegfried realized that he would inevitably rouse the Hersher persona again. To protect Kiana, he left her. The girl was worthy of love. Those who loved her could do anything for her. But in the girl's eyes, it was her very existence that brought them endless sufferings and miseries. Nevertheless, she did not forget the promise with her father and continued to believe in the good of the world. In the Honkai-stricken Nagazora, when Ryden Mei, who had become the Hersher of Thunder, turned against her, Kiana still reached out to her. When they were fleeing Nagazora, Himeko rescued Kiana and Mei and took them to St. Freya. Kiana's troubled fate was finally calmed for a brief moment. On the campus, she met friends who were like family and made the solemn vow to fight for all that is beautiful in the world. She wanted to stay, but a cruel twist would soon break her hopes.
Okay, what happened? Like her powers were awakened and stuff? Well, we saw
Dark
that.
seeds germinated in the shadow of the peaceful years. The other sentience inside her preyed on all the good in her life once more by encroaching on her cognition and her dreams. It was Kiana's pining for a mother's love that made her awakening possible. She created illusions to make Kiana believe that she saved her mother from sacrificing herself to end the second eruption. When she realized the great joy she experienced was elusive, she broke down and let the Hersher persona take over. Being taken to the Schicksal HQ by Fu Hua, she was confined in the same bleak experiment pod, just as when she was born. Only this time, Otto, who witnessed her rebirth, wished to see the Hersher of the Void return. Just as Otto expected, the St. Freya group revolted and attacked the Schicksal HQ with anti-entropy to rescue Kiana. In fact, he wanted them to gamble everything for Kiana. Their deep love and the ensuing sacrifices would stimulate Kiana's emotions to help her overcome the Hersher persona, so she could become a human with Hersher powers.
Wait, this don't make sense. So, is Odo a good guy? Because he doesn't seem like it, or he doesn't seem like he has ulterior motives. It kind of looks like, okay, he did all of this for her, for the betterment of humanity, but at the same time, it's like he's willing to go to whatever length for his end goals or something. Okay, let's just keep going.
The Herrscher of the Void achieved complete awakening and pulverized Saint Freya and Anti-Entropy in a display of power.
Yeah.
In the end, to save Kiana, Himeko donned the Godsbane battle suit Vermilion Knight, Eclipse. She defeated Herrscher of the Void and injected the Spear of Destiny, a Honkai neutralizing serum, into Kiana at the expense of her life.
Oh man.
Himeko fell into the imaginary space.
Damn.
Kiana might be a Herrscher, but her friends and teachers still loved her and believed in her as much. Yet their goodwill was too heavy to bear. Kiana wandered in Ark City after waking up from the nightmare. Honkai beasts and zombies hunted her. The whispers of the Herrscher tortured her. She wanted to run, but had nowhere to run. Those pains and sufferings are predestined. She was test subject K423, the vessel of a Herrscher, and the root cause of the world's and her loved ones' miseries. Would the world be a better place had she died? When Kiana was prepared to die with the Herrscher inside, Fu Hua's sentience in her mind stopped her and the Herrscher from reviving. Kiana finally remembered that Himeko sacrificed herself to save her because, as her teacher, Himeko believed in her potential to change the world.
Yep.
Kiana snapped out of grief and loss. To repay Himeko's faith, she will continue fighting her ill fate. With Fu Hua's help, Kiana learned how to contain the Herrscher persona and utilize Herrscher powers. She became a rogue hero that fought to save Ark City from destruction. Kiana discovered that the Honkai disasters plaguing Ark City were not related to the Herrscher of the Void. They were the work of a shady organization known as the World Serpent. All traces pointed to a dreadful ploy, Project Stigma. The catastrophe caused by it would level Ark City to the ground. Kiana must transfer the Honkai bomb planted by World Serpent to save Ark City. She made it. Even though the Herrscher persona and Honkai were eating her away, she did not fail Himeko. To change this imperfect world, she became the meteor that ripped Ark City's darkness open and propelled the bomb out of the atmosphere, which rewrote the cruel fate of this city.
Even when bad things are happening, you still have shady people trying to do shit for their own games.
The unconscious Kiana was taken to the Schicksal North African lab by Durandal. Otto needed a Kiana who had harnessed Herrscher powers to activate the second divine key. Sick of being manipulated, she broke out from the lab and escaped Kevin's pursuit under Fu Hua's cover. Kiana returned to the ruins of Nagazora. She was ready to meet her end in the place where she first met everyone she cared about.
Oh, the town where
she
everything
knew she had
exploded
little time
and there were
left
zombies and stuff.
as the Honkai core continued to corrupt her. To bring back Kiana, Mei set foot in Nagazora. Kiana had not stopped imagining how she would reunite with her friends once. Yet she could not seize the chance when it finally came. Honkai was growing thick in Nagazora. She had to step forward to protect the world and her friends, even if it would cost her her life. She had always been like this. She would laugh off the worst injuries. She saved the world, saved everyone, but kept the pain to herself. She was killing herself to protect the good in the world, but she had forgotten that she also meant the whole world to her loved ones.
That's why the other Mei said,
to save
if I have
Kiana,
to save you,
Mei made a pact with Kevin. A new gem of conquest solidified in her body. She became the Herrscher of Thunder again and joined World Serpent by choice. Mei knew her best friend would never accept her choice, but she could not create a future for her dearest if she held on to her past.
Okay. She wanted to save her. I mean, I got that from the video anyway.
After Mei left, Kiana and Bronya went to Mount Taishuan to find the ways of mastering Hersher powers recorded by Fu Hua, without knowing the Hersher of sentience had already woken. In the illusion created by the Hersher of sentience, Fu Hua's lonely life, bound by her mission, flashed before Kiana's eyes. Fu Hua planned to sacrifice herself again to seal the Hersher of sentience.
Oh, okay.
Kiana could not accept a fate that exchanged their lives for the greater good. It was Himeko's. It was Mei's. It was Fu Hua's. It was hers once. And it was not the happiness they wanted. To end this wretched story the way they truly wanted,
damn, man.
Kiana stopped fighting alone. She chose to believe in her friends. In the theater of domination, built by the Legion Hersher, she confronted her fate for the last time.
Let me just say something, really tube you a little bit, but Fu Hua and Kiana at different points kind of look similar. I mean, for someone who's not really used to, they kind of look similar. It's a bit confusing. Obviously, you know it's Kiana when like her hair is all, you know, made up and stuff. But when it's just all out, it's a bit confusing. I just have to say that.
She accepted her fate and who she was. She and the Hersher of the Void were both continuations of Siren's persona.
Yeah.
The Hersher of the Void was Siren's hatred toward the world manifested. She was the other possibility, born from Siren's desire for love. The countless hearts that loved and helped her made this possibility a reality, turning her from test subject K423 into a Valkyrie who fights for all that is beautiful in the world, into Kiana Kaslana, who leads everyone forward.
Damn.
As for where her path leads to, we will soon find out.
Okay, well done. Very nice compiled video here. Very nice compiled video. Okay.
Greetings, Captain. Welcome back to Honkai Operations Center.
Okay.
In recent
Another
stories of Honkai Impact 3rd, Mei has been the center of stage. She returned to the city of Nagazora, regained her Hersher powers, and once again became the Queen of Thunder. How did this heiress of a multi-billion-dollar corporation turn into a Hersher? What did she experience and witness?
Oh, her
To
family
answer
has
these
money.
questions, we have divided Mei's journey into 4 parts: Origins, Valkyrie, Arc Fugitive, and Returning to Nagazora. Mei Ryden was born on April 13, 1997 in the city of Nagazora. Her father, Ryoma Ryden, was the head of Massive Electric Corporation. Mei's mother, however, passed away when she was young, and her name remained a mystery. Mei was enrolled in the elite high school of Chiba Academy. Only children of rich, powerful, and connected people could hope to study there. And Mei Ryden happened to be one of them, and she was so much more. She was beautiful, tall, and intelligent. Everyone in school idolized her.
Okay, she was popular.
But this didn't last forever. Disaster struck ME Corp that her father owned. Ryoma Ryden became a criminal, guilty of economic fraud, and went missing to avoid arrest.
Oh, damn.
Mei's
So
life was turned upside down.
If that kind of shit should happen to you, just imagine how everyone will look at you in school and be like, oh, she thought she was something. Innit? Yeah. Serves you right. I mean, yeah.
Her classmates and even teachers turned cold and ostracized her. That
Oh,
was when
what
she
did I say?
learned that their friendship and adulation were only reserved for her family fortune and prestige, and those that disappeared when her father ran away. Left alone to face an uncaring world, Mei soon became extremely jaded and started hearing a voice echoing in the darkness. It promised terrible powers. This world deserves to be destroyed. She chose to become a Hersher and ignited the 2014 Honkai outbreak in Nagazora. Millions died as a result. While Mei reveled in her new powers, a mysterious silver-haired transfer student named Kiana Kaslana suddenly appeared to stop her. Instead of trying to kill Mei for destroying the city, Kiana appealed to her human conscience. With her help, Mei successfully subdued the Hersher within, and Kiana quickly became a close friend. The two girls met Bronya, and the three of them worked together to flee the stricken city. They were then taken into custody by Himeko, a Valkyrie of Shiksal's Far East branch. Teresa Apocalypse, who's in charge of the Far East branch, used all her powers and resources to enroll the three girls into her own Valkyrie training school, St. Freya High. And that was Mei Ryden, an ex-heiress once worth billions who lost both her parents, became ostracized, acquired Hersher powers, destroyed a city, met two very good friends, and started training to become a Valkyrie and defend the world against the Honkai. Mei was ever fearful of the Honkai within her and agreed to let Himeko implant a heart bomb. The bomb has a sensor that will start a countdown if it detects Hersher impulses within Mei.
What?
During her training, Mei and her friends Kiana and Bronya took on many missions that included stopping an ancient Honkai monster, Chio, and recovering a runaway battleship known as the Selene. Mei also demonstrated her superb cooking abilities. She even learned to play video games. But things would once again turn for the worst. Shortly after graduating as fully minted Valkyries, Mei, Kiana, and Bronya were sent to Shiksal's Oceania branch to recover a Hersher core, the Gem of Desire. The gem was placed in an ex-Valkyrie named Wendy, who served as its human vessel. But Wendy eventually lost control and became a Hersher herself. While the young Valkyries battled Wendy, Kokolia from Shiksal's rival faction of Anti-Entropy ambushed them, using a brain chip implant to control Bronya and capture both Wendy and Mei. While Mei was held as a prisoner to be experimented upon for her Hersher powers, Bronya chose to sacrifice herself by burning out her brain chip so that Kiana and the others could rescue Mei and escape. Mei soon realized that her friends often suffered grievously just to save her. A sense of helplessness and a matching desire to get stronger began to grow in her heart. That wasn't the end of the bad news. As Teresa and the Far East branch worked around the clock to wake Bronya from her coma, Shiksal overseer Otto Apocalypse suddenly abducted Kiana and took her to his secret headquarters. It turned out that the overseer always had a secret plan of reviving a Hersher known for her burning hatred against humanity. Mei, once hopeful that she could protect the world as a Valkyrie, realized that she simply wasn't strong enough. Bronya went into a coma to save her, Kiana was kidnapped, and her ultimate superior, Otto Apocalypse, turned out to be a scheming supervillain who would soon unleash a terrible Honkai disaster upon the entire planet. Once again, Mei's life entered another pivotal moment. Kiana was revealed to be an artificial clone designed by Otto that served one purpose only: to serve as a vessel to Sirin, the second Hersher who was defeated in the year 2000. To rescue Kiana and stop the impending Honkai eruption, Teresa of the Far East branch rebelled against Overseer Otto. Mei also became part of the alliance forged by Teresa and Anti-Entropy. And together they fought their way into the headquarters of Shiksal itself. While battle raged, Sirin began to stir in her slumber. The second Hersher gradually assumed control over Kiana's body and summoned a horde of Honkai beasts. To help clear the way to the possessed Kiana, Teresa decided to remove the heart bomb from Mei. Mei was grateful for Teresa's trust. Armed with the power of the Hersher within, she easily defeated numerous enemies. But all her struggles were in vain. When the rebels stepped into the heart of Shiksal, Sirin's persona had already succeeded in fully possessing Kiana. A terrible battle followed. Sirin tore away the Gem of Conquest from Mei's body and acquired even greater powers. The brutal removal of the Hersher core also took Mei out of the fight. Just when all hope was lost...
So that scene right there, that's one of the clips I saw where at the beginning, I believe that's Mei, because in the beginning we didn't know what her name was, and she was like, Kiana, wake up, open your eyes, like, you know, Mei or Samashta and stuff. That's what I'm seeing there. So with the whole explanation I'm having now, it makes more sense. It really makes more sense now. And obviously we know Himeko is going to die.
Himeko entered into the fray and bravely fought Sirin. Her selfless fight gave everyone the time they needed to escape. Teresa and the exhausted rebels withdrew from Shiksal. They failed to stop Otto and Sirin and became fugitives on the run. The Battle of Shiksal was yet another blow in Mei's life. She couldn't save her best friend. Sirin even took Mei's core, gaining greater powers to wreak havoc on the entire planet. And in the face of such an enemy, Mei's only option was to flee. Having been on the run for 4 months, Teresa came across witness reports of Kiana at Arc City, located in Shenzhou. Teresa, Bronya, and Mei tried contacting an intel dealer named Grey Serpent. Instead, they came across the Ningyo, a cyborg girl who might know Kiana's whereabouts. But Shixal's agent Rita suddenly appeared and defeated the 3 fugitives. They were forced to retreat with the Ningyo. The bad news was that the Ningyo no longer had any useful data after being formatted by Rita. Mei, who felt she had been performing poorly in battle, asked Dr. Tesla to make her an augmented battlesuit to work better with her residual Herrscher powers. Meanwhile, the fugitives also decided to split their forces in 2. Teresa would respond to Kokolia's request and head to the Deep, located in the Pacific, to retrieve the Gem of Desire. Mei and Tesla would return to AE headquarters with the Helios to repair the Ningyo for data salvaging and locate Kiana's whereabouts. While Mei and Tesla worked on the Ningyo, the cyborg suddenly conveyed a message from Rita. Rita revealed that Kiana was indeed in Arc City to investigate a mysterious Serpent-backed company. Kiana even agreed to form a temporary alliance with Rita. But Rita soon walked into a World Serpent trap and lost her S-rank Valkyrie powers. Kiana was also captured by the World Serpent. With little options left, Rita thus decided to call Mei for support. Though suspicious of Rita, Mei would not give up any chance of reuniting with Kiana and went back to Arc City eventually. Mei was also surprised that Rita did not lie and even tried working with her. Mei did get what she wanted, reuniting with Kiana. She asked her friend to return to the Hyperion. However, Kiana chose to stay in Arc to stop the World Serpent from creating an artificial Honkai eruption in the city. A World Serpent mercenary named Ray...
I'm still not getting it. There's that evil organization, the World Serpent and all that, but what would they gain if the war goes extinct? Is it one of those fanatic groups where, like, you know, they're like, oh, everything will set back to the beginning, everything has to burn? Is it that kind of thing? Is it what they are? I'm still not piecing them properly, so I'm confused a little bit about their motive there. Maybe it has not yet been revealed, just saying. And in the last video, maybe we'll learn more, or is it this video? We'll learn more about Mei's mom. Maybe that's why they didn't reveal her name, you know.
Raven tried to stop Kiana, and the 2 girls fought her off, only to realize that Raven succeeded in delaying them. A wounded Mei could only see her friend tapping into the forbidden void powers to send the detonating Honkai reactor away from the city and save millions of people. Kiana passed out from overexerting herself and fell. Her deadly descent was stopped by a tree that sprouted from a lance. Mei rushed forward to save her friend, only to find out that Durandal, the most powerful S-rank Valkyrie of Shixal, had arrived first. And this Valkyrie was ordered to take Kiana away. No matter how hard Mei fought, she couldn't stop Durandal. Once again, the cruel hands of fate tore them apart. The attempted reunion with Kiana at Arc City only deepened Mei's angst. She was too weak to stop Shixal, and her weakness allowed them to take Kiana. Though imprisoned at Shixal's Vemur Labs in North Africa, Kiana managed to escape during the chaos caused by a World Serpent attack. She used her void powers again and teleported herself to Nagazora, the place where she first met Mei. Dr. Tesla detected the energy fluctuations from Kiana's teleportation, and thus the fugitives headed toward the city that was destroyed by the Honkai eruption 3 years ago. Mei and Tesla arrived at the city ruins and tried looking for Kiana. Instead, they found scavenging children living in shelters who survived the Honkai disaster. And the sensei...
How is that possible? They did say everyone that couldn't get the power stuff turned into zombies, right? So how are they kids there? Except it's a ploy from whatever the serpents or something like that. But it's a bit confusing, but let's keep going.
The protector of these children who helped build their shelters was none other than Raven, the World Serpent mercenary that Mei fought in Arc City.
What
when
did I just
facing
say?
rising sea levels and Honkai resurgence, and also due to her need to protect the children, Mei agreed to set aside hostilities and join forces with Raven. Together, they located Kiana's whereabouts and even defeated the Honkai dragon Benares that was trying to protect its queen. Then Raven revealed her intent for coming to Nagazora. She wanted to kill Kiana and end the threat of the Honkai she poses. Nevertheless, Raven gave Mei a chance to stop herself. Mei drew her blade without hesitation and ended her brief alliance with Raven. But without her Herrscher gem, Mei was no match against Raven. The mercenary even scoffed at her, calling her no different than an ordinary human. Mei knew that Raven would kill Kiana once she was defeated. She decided to sacrifice herself and started concentrating Honkai energy within her. Raven was shocked. She just witnessed a coreless ex-Herrscher releasing a sudden burst of terrible power. She therefore allowed Mei to take Kiana away. After enduring many battles and defeats, Mei was finally able to bring Kiana home. But then Dr. Tesla told her the bad news. The 3 Herrscher cores within Kiana had overloaded her body with Honkai infection. She had less than 2 months to live. Mei found herself utterly helpless after hearing the bad news. She also found that Kiana had lost several senses and could not even taste the food she cooked. The World Serpent, however, was well aware of the relationship between Mei and Kiana. Kiana Kaslana, the sire of the World Serpent, met Mei in person. He was a previous era survivor and lauded as their most powerful warrior. Kevin promised Mei that the World Serpent could save Kiana's life, and that would require Mei to simply become a Honkai Herrscher once again. Once Mei became a Herrscher, one of the Herrscher cores infecting Kiana would dissipate and reappear in Mei instead, greatly reducing Kiana's infection. But Mei would have to leave Kiana and join the World Serpent to ensure that their grand project succeeds. And when Project Stigma successfully reforms the human race and defeats the Honkai, Kiana would no longer have to sacrifice herself to protect the world. To save her dying friend, Mei accepted the Serpent's offer without hesitation. And shortly after making her choice, a channel into the Sea of Quanta suddenly appeared in Nagazora. It turned out that Otto had fired the second divine key to create a channel right through the sea. And this was only possible because of the deal that Kevin and Otto made a few days ago. Kevin told Mei that she should take this chance to absorb Honkai energy seeping from Nagazora and complete her metamorphosis. Everything that began in Nagazora would end in the same city. 3 years ago, Kiana stopped Mei from becoming a Herrscher, and the 2 girls became best friends. And now, Mei has decided to become a Herrscher once more, just to save Kiana. When the transformation is complete, Mei will have to betray her friends and join forces with the enemy. But that's the price she needs to pay. Entering the darkness is the only way she can return Kiana to bliss. We're happy that you managed to stay with us and reach the end of this video. Okay. We would also like to know what you think about the story so far, and what you would like to see next. Background history of the factions such as the World Serpent, Shiksal, and Anti-Entropy, or background stories of characters on your Valkyrie roster.
You know what? Very, very nice video. I really like the explanation now. It just makes a lot of sense. I might not remember everything, but the general gist of it, I kind of, got it anyway. But then they did say that Project Stigma or whatever that Otto was planning was to deal with the Honkais, yeah, and rebuild humanity and all that. But that doesn't look like that's Otto's ultimate plan. That might be what he's saying, but that's not what he's planning to do. That guy seems really weird and fishy. So as I was listening to it, I'm like, okay. And what's up with Kevin though? Like, what's wrong with him? Okay.
Greetings, captains. Welcome back to the Honkai Operations Center. As time flows forward, Fu Hua has shaped the history under different names and identities. The 8th Herrscher, who calls herself Fu Hua, has now appeared before us. But who is she really? What has Fu Hua undergone in 50,000 years? Let's take a closer look at the long and solitary life of a warrior. Fu Hua was born in the lower district of a previous era metropolis. She grew up practicing martial arts after her father and lived a disciplined life. Due to her humble origin, plain appearance, and straight, reserved personality, Fu Hua was a loner when she studied in Sapphire. Only until she saved a classmate during a zombie attack did she gain the acceptance of those around her, and learn to warm up to people. But just when she was beginning to envision a bright future, fate forced her on a path that she had never imagined. The Honkai Impact tore what she knew apart. The city was burned to the ground and her family and friends were killed. Fu Hua fled and was saved by Moss Squad 5 leader Himiko. In a world where one could not survive alone, Fu Hua could no longer afford to dream and was only left with the mission to eliminate Honkai. Fu Hua joined Moth as a soldier, but she was still too weak to save anything. Cities fell, billions of lives perished. Her savior, Himiko, died in the hands of her comrades after transforming into a Hersher. She only had the passion to defeat Honkai, not the power to realize it. In the face of an overwhelming enemy, was running away the best thing she could do? Fu Hua did not accept her fate. Burning with a grudge against her fate, Fu Hua was reborn after challenging death. In an experiment that was deemed lethal, Igor miraculously fused with her and transformed her into a mantis. And the user of Key of Domination, as well as Feng Huang down, the mantis brought home one victory after another, until the final Hersher descended. Humanity stood no chance in the decisive war. The few that survived forfeited their civilization. They put themselves into cryogenic sleep so they could start anew when the time arrives. And so Fu Hua's story enters the next chapter. After 10 millennia of sleep, Fu Hua was awakened as the executor of Project Ember, whose mission was to guide the people of the new era in developing their civilization and resisting Honkai. Fu Hua was not alone in this. She was surrounded by lifelong friends who genuinely cared for her and wanted her to take back her life. Yet she lost all of them in a judgment-class Honkai disaster. Fu Hua became alone again. As a mantis, she is immortal. As the user of Feng Huang down, her memories last forever. In Fu Hua's near everlasting life, as fleeting as her interpersonal encounters may be, the inevitable parting that ensued would still scar her for life. With her last friend gone, Fu Hua closed off her heart. She secluded herself from the earthly world, carried on the mission of eliminating Honkai like the programmed robot. No mercy for the corrupted became her sole code of conduct. She only cared for the mortals' corruption, not their lives. In 1458 AD, Fu Hua founded the School of Taishuan at Mount Taishuan, Shenzhou. It was to safeguard Shenzhou and cleanse the world of Honkai. The School of Taishuan, which only had 7 disciples, dominated the martial arts world with the Edge of Taishuan, a secret sword fighting style that could channel Honkai energy. To the ordinary people, Fu Hua was as untouchable as a celestial, and hence was named Phoenix. In 1475 AD, on the Kipchak steppes in Central Asia, Fu Hua single-handedly trounced Shiksaw's elite forces and their strongest Valkyrie, Kiana Kaslana. This battle also led Fu Hua's first encounter with Auto Apocalypse, her lifelong rival. In the next year, for reasons unknown, her 7 disciples mutinied and razed Mount Taishuan to the ground. Fu Hua was grievously injured, having lost her full power and immortality. Fu Hua temporarily withdrew from the world. Since she could not protect Shenzhou in a powerless state, she made a pact with Auto. Fu Hua joined Shiksal and worked for Auto. In return, Auto pledged to watch over Shenzhou in her stead. In 2000 AD, the second Honkai eruption brought total destruction. It was later known as the most devastating Honkai disaster of the current era. In a few days, multiple...
One thing I would like to know, how come for the millennia of whatever energy, the spaceship or whatever they were kept inside, before coming back alive when they were frozen, right? How much energy did that thing have? Secondly, Otto is everywhere. That guy is like, scheming everywhere. He's everywhere. So he's kind of the main bad guy of the series, we would say. I mean, we would say the Honkai is the main bad guy, but as a human form, Otto kind of seemed like the bad guy to me.
Major cities were destroyed, resulting in millions of casualties. In this war, Shiksal and the anti-entropy fought back in full force. Fu Hua was dispatched to subdue the Hershers as a Shiksal Valkyrie. In Fu Hua's long life, she has never ceased rethinking what fighting means, so she may one day slay all Hershers and eliminate Honkai. By then, she had found the way of defeating a Hersher. With unparalleled combat experience and Feng Huang Down's power, Fu Hua overwhelmed the pseudo-Herrscher of Fire and temporarily suppressed the second Herrscher, who possessed 6 Herrscher cores. Yet even with such nigh immeasurable power, she could not defeat the second Herrscher, who was under the protection of the will of Honkai. At the critical moment, Fu Hua sacrificed Feng Huang Down and her memories to activate Feng Huang Down's first power, Taishuan Eminence. It severely wounded the second Herrscher and cut off her connection with the will of Honkai, creating an opening for humanity to turn the tables. Fighting this war cost Fu Hua her memories and most of her power. Over a decade later, Fu Hua enrolled at St. Freya as an undercover agent. She became the class monitor of Kiana's class, to surveil the activity of the Herrscher of the Void inside Kiana. Although she approached Kiana and her friends with an ulterior motive, she regained long-lost friendships and bonds in a campus life full of joy and laughters. She carried out Otto's orders while secretly helping out Kiana and her friends to protect an addictive yet fragile balance of fate. However, the mission of eliminating Honkai ultimately made her side with the other end. She took away Kiana and helped Otto rouse the Herrscher of the Void. Little did she know that Otto did not play by the contract. He only
What did I say? Otto is always scheming. Anyway, we knew that already. First things first, he did say she lost her immortality, right? And her memories. So, decades later, she shouldn't look that young. Except that, yeah, she's no more immortal, but she's still getting, keeping her youthfulness and stuff. It was a bit trippy, but shout outs to her for, helping. And she was playing the double game like Odo as well. So
roused the Herrscher for his selfish desires, not to protect others. To keep Fu Hua out of his plan, he shot her. To stop Otto's plan, Fu Hua activated Feng Huang Down's 0th power before dying, to transfer her sentience partially into the feathers and bind her sentience with Kiana's soul. Feng Huang Down, which bore Fu Hua's sentience, led Himiko to the power that could confront the Herrscher of the Void, and provide the serum that could quell the Honkai energy inside Kiana. When Bronya was trapped in Grey's Serpent's mind labyrinth, Feng Huang Down appeared in time to help her escape. After the Herrscher of the Void begot a Honkai eruption, Kiana sunk into self-blame and loss. It was Fu Hua's sentience that supported her and taught her how to harness the Herrscher power. At last, to protect Kiana, Fu Hua's sentience burned herself out in the battle against Kevin and fell.
Okay, this makes a lot more sense, because as they were talking about different people's stories, I was asking myself some questions, but I was just riding along with it. This makes sense why Kiana was having her sentient being, or why she was there to speak to her and stuff like that. This makes too much sense now. I was like, what? But now it makes sense. Oh, shout out.
Fell into a slumber. However, that was not the end of her story. After the Schicksal battle, Otto repaired her body, only to revive a Fu Hua that was not the fighter who upheld her mission above all else and abolished her own desires. She had the looks of Fu Hua, but uttered frivolous, arrogant, and impetuous words. She had the memories of Fu Hua, but could not understand the motives underpinning them. She loathed Honkai as much as Fu Hua, but she was no different from Honkai in action. Purely driven by a desire for destruction, she destroyed. She killed Otto's clone and demolished half of Schicksal's headquarters.
I was about to say she killed...
To vent her desire for destruction, she fought Durandal and Kevin, to trick Fu Hua's sentience in Feng Huang Down into submitting to her. She varnished over her motive time and again. To win the trust of Kiana and Bronya, she lured them into her memories to elicit their sympathy. In the end, she was not Fu Hua, but the 8th Herrscher born from her memories. Perhaps to the 8th Herrscher, this story that perpetuated itself for 50,000 years is an elaborated, pitiable tragedy. The Fu Hua that constrained herself and lived solely for her mission was nothing but a failure. She wanted to become a better Fu Hua. Perhaps the girl bathing in the sun on the grass 50,000 years ago would have had the same idea had she had learned the story of her life. It is a life that has seen too many betrayals, lies, and sacrifices. However,
OSTs of
it
these
is
things
also
are
a
fire.
life that shaped Fu Hua into the remarkable fighter that her friends believe in and rely upon. What does the future have in store for her? We will find out together.
Damn. Okay. 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 So it's like the story so far.
当一个人真正想改变世界的时候，才会发现个人的力量是多么渺小。圣女为民众付出了一切，
Dustbook Apocalypse.
可换来的却是无情的镣铐和绞索。
I don't know Chinese, like my Chinese is limited.
世界如此混乱，它既不公平，也不合理。它迫害英雄，滋养恶类，丑陋遍地，美好无存。
Is that Odo?
世界的恶
Odo's clone?
就有恶神来斩断了。
This is good. You guys should just make an anime out of this. You know, starting from the whole beginning. Or make it from somewhere and then make an OVA to explain the thing. Oh, let's go.
这是他和女人之间的距离，这是世界对他的无情反叛，但他的信念绝不会因此放弃。
Damn. He looks like he's fighting some mirror versions of himself. I would not say mirror, kind of like, they look like this thing, obsidian, for those who know what I'm talking about. And what's this thing? I saw it on his hand earlier. I thought he was just activating his power, but the thing is kind of going up and stuff. Alright, let's go. Mixing 2D and 3D animation. Wow, okay. This looks lit though. Okay. No more agreeing to get hanged anymore. Oh, that's the Judas thing, isn't it? Judas Oath. Guys, if I'm wrong, please don't kill me, but I think that's what they said around in the first video or something like that. Oh, wow. Is it because they are showing a lot of church things now that they're using that? There. Wait, are they kind of linked? I was kind of thinking the same thing, but now it just seems to obvious that they are linked in some way.
人一旦魂飞魄散，就无法再起死回生。世界允许意识匹配新的容器，却不允许容器收集消散的意识。想要拯救唯一的他，我只能在过去创造出新的可能。
Tell me that they are calling this thing the Yggdrasil tree, and I would laugh.
将是
Because that's what they use in every basic
属
thing.
于他的时空。
Oh damn. What happened there? What is even happening though? Okay.
Too much of the past for one too
I have to see such a substitution.
Too many words remain.
So this is one of the ones, the girl that they used to make Kiana. Like one of them anyway.
The ebb and flow of the crowd flood the world and paradise.
And that's definitely older. It's about that as well.
Of time. Every night brings a dream of the day. Relentless love, keep me away. All the rest will be torn up whenever a choice is made.
Wait, Big Dog did all of this for love?
On this side, leading to the ultimate.
Oh my god. So something happened to the original canon. What he did was to what? Resurrect her or rebuild the world where she wouldn't have suffered or something? Damn. Or would he say his childhood friend? I don't know, man. Moist. That was good. That was good. Okay, guys, that is it. That is it for the link that I received. It was really interesting to know everything that we know now. I didn't see any story about Bronya per se. Bronya, Seele, Himeko. But then, a lot of the scenes that I watched in the previous one, there's a lot more explanation. It's way much more fleshed out. So I know about the sentient of Fu Hua. I got into, you know, let's just call her Kiana. I wanted to say Kiana 2.0, but let's just call her Kiana. You know, knowing about the evil through her that has been reproduced. But some confusing thing is there. They say she has her memories. How is that possible? Like, she should probably have the new memories that she created with Kiana and all of them. Or maybe it was just because of the clip. It was because from the clip that the guy was explaining, they showed that, oh, she has her memories, and they were showing the memories of the previous civilization that she had also. That didn't make too much sense to me. What else? They didn't say a lot. There were other people, well, maybe they didn't have an interesting backstory, you know, for instance, Himeko and stuff. Or the principal, I believe her name was Teresa, something along those lines. So yeah, although I was always wondering what's his deal, he looks like a bad guy, but now I feel like retracting what I said. He might have done some evil things, but he just feels like he's doing it out of love. And what can you say? Love was involved, man. And yeah, and we didn't talk about Kevin as well. What's up with him? So the other few people, okay, that need some fleshing out stuff, but generally I got kind of the gist of it. So thank you for this link. There is another playlist sent to me. I'll check that one out. Yeah, that one is kind of a lot of videos. So any video that will be in that one that I've seen before, I'll probably skip it. See you in the next one. Tell me what you thought about, you know, the whole video and my reaction, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And yeah, whenever I got time, I'm not working, I'm not busy, I'll put out those reactions for you guys. Stay safe. Cheers.